Bringing NBC's Hans Nichols at the White House on this busy afternoon. So just last night, the president was praising him. He praised him, as we just heard, in that statement he put out on Twitter. So why now? Why is Scott Pruitt gone now? Do we know if he was asked to leave or he decided to leave?
Well, Chris, we may have two hints on that. Number one, today's the first day of the new Deputy Chief of Staff, Bill Shine, in charge of communications policy. It may be that he wanted to clean house and start afresh, and that this was one of his first acts, convincing President Trump to finally let go of his EPA director. We also have heard from congressional Democrats saying that they had uncovered additional information, additional cases of Scott Pruitt asking people in the AP, employees, to take out personal tasks for him and his family. What's also clear now, this news broke a little bit over 2 hours ago, is that, yes, the head of the EPA is resigning, but the direction of the EPA has not changed. Andrew Wheeler, who's the deputy who will assume the head, is a former coal industry lobbyist. He's a lawyer. He's a lobbyist. He's worked for all kinds of industry groups. And what's clear from the president throughout his defense of Scott Pruitt, as well as celebrating Andrew Wheeler, is that the direction of the EPA will not change. And this will continue to be an EPA that is dedicated to dismantling some of the regulatory and environmental protections that were put in place not just by President Obama, but by previous Republican presidents, as this president wants to do more to help the business community. Chris?
Was there any indication, though, that this was coming? I mean, the timing is really interesting when you have a new communications director coming on.
Yeah.
Maybe he just didn't want, maybe he was able to convince the president. Was it about, we know the president watches social media very closely. You had I would say, unflattering bit of a confrontation in a restaurant with a woman going up to Scott Pruitt. That went viral. People watched it, I think, hundreds of thousands of times. Anything that suggested, because I kept asking the question, how many scandals, how many ethical investigations is the magic number? Maybe now we know it's 15.
Well, what we heard from the White House throughout this process, the last 2 weeks, even 2 months, was concern from senior officials. You'd hear it that they were troubling. The most recent one was troublesome. But all along, there had been concern among officials, and it always appeared that President Donald Trump supported Scott Pruitt because, A, he thought Scott Pruitt was being attacked, and B, he thought he was being attacked for his take and his approach on dismantling environmental protections. And that's something that President Trump wanted to do. So he didn't want to give the other side, the Democrats, the left, necessarily a win on this. But really, talking to aides here for the last couple of weeks, me and my colleagues, I mean, the most recent one was troublesome. That came from aboard a Gaggle Air Force One yesterday, that they found his behavior troublesome. But a couple weeks before, it would be troubling. So all along, there had been concern among aides. It's still unclear why President Trump decided to make this decision today. And I think that's something that we need to get to the bottom of.
Hans Nichols, I know you're continuing to do reporting on this. We may talk to you again in this hour.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.